Coronavirus cases going up. So are hospital visits. Tonight, stories from the front lines.
Drug companies seeing vaccine success, how a Triad woman felt the need to take part in the trials. Plus, 2 Wants to Know helps a family in need after a tree crushed their house.
We begin with the largest daily increase in cases and by a long shot. We learned of 4,296 new cases today. That's 400 more than the next highest total. It's the first time we've gone over 4,000.
The rise in cases also comes with a rise in hospitalizations. We tuck you inside the Cone Health Hospital treating only COVID patients before. This was months ago when our numbers were lower. Well, tonight doctors and nurses are working tirelessly.
WFMY News 2's Marissa Tancino spoke to healthcare workers who've been at the bedside of dying patients. She has their story from the front lines.
Wisconsin, Chicago, El Paso, Greensboro. Patients are in hospital ICUs all over the country fighting for their lives against COVID-19. ICU doctors and nurses doing everything they can to keep patients alive. Nurses like Cone Health's Zoe Suggs.
They express fear and, sometimes hopelessness.
Suggs says many struggle to breathe, looking back at how they think they got infected.
We hear a lot of regretting, not taking it seriously.
Since the start of the pandemic, Dr. Ashish Khanna says he's taken care of hundreds of patients in the ICU at Wake Forest Baptist Medical Center.
I've been a part of those conversations where, they'll pick up their phone and call their loved ones, and I put it on a speakerphone, and they're saying bye, but they don't know, and you don't know whether they're going to be able to talk to their loved one again or meet their loved one again.
Khanna says he's seen perfectly healthy people turn severely ill. Some don't recover.
The very painful part of dying from COVID-19 is that you're dying alone.
Young, old, healthy, or not, he's seen all types of people battle COVID-19 in an ICU room, without family, surrounded by strangers under layers of PPE.
They want to hold the hand of a family member. They want to see that face again. They cannot.
What they hear time and time again, the realization that the virus is not a hoax and could have easily been prevented.
Data and science that has shown that an intervention as simple as this is not only going to save you, it's going to save everyone else around you.
You see on social media people kind of mocking or just saying, it's not very serious, or comparing it to the flu, but they don't see what we see every day. They're not holding the hands of dying people whose family can't get to them.
An agonizing final moment played over and over again for these frontline heroes. A never-ending cycle that's showing no signs of slowing. Marissa Tancino, WFMY News 2.
Right now, Cone Health is treating 129 people for coronavirus, the highest to date. 80% of them are at the Green Valley campus in Greensboro. The other 20% are spread out at other facilities depending on their underlying conditions. The Green Valley campus can treat 115 people, and while they are not at capacity yet, Cone Health leaders are concerned for the future.
There really has been a rapid escalation of the number of patients in our hospitals, and it really is disappointing. We'd much rather that not be the case.
Today, Wake Forest Baptist Health's prominent infectious disease expert discussed our state's coronavirus response. Dr. Christopher Ohl argued schools are safe.
Our bars are open, our restaurants are open, our fitness centers are open. These are play areas for adults, and we won't open our schools. Shame on us as a society.
Dr. Ohl released a statement to clarify his comments. He said, "I know Winston-Salem Forsyth County schools are doing the best they can. My comments were not directed toward the school system, the school board, or the majority of parents and teachers. I think it's time to have a science-based and not emotional dialogue about getting our kids back in school safely."
A record number of cases in one day. We have seen that headline several times in the last few weeks, but today is different. Today we tallied 4,296 cases. That's nearly the entire population of Summerfield testing positive in one day. I want you to get a better picture of just how out of the ordinary this is. We'll look back at daily case totals since September. Here are the days below 2,000 cases, shaded in blue. Now, here are the days that range from 2,000 to 3,000 cases, shaded in yellow. Lots of those were in the last month and a half. Okay, now let's use orange to color the days with 3,000 to 4,000 cases. Those all came within the last 2 weeks. Finally, more than 4,000 cases, the big red bar all the way to the right. Just today, so far, the highest number we've ever seen. Here's how the number has progressed since April. The line keeps climbing, far higher than the first peak we saw back in July. That's why this week the state sent recommendations to county and city leaders. If we want to avoid hard, fast rules, we need to do the simple stuff like wearing a mask and social distancing.
It has been a difficult 8 months, but the last 2 weeks show major progress. A vaccine. Pfizer says it's seeing 95% effectiveness. Moderna says it is seeing 95% effectiveness too. The trials seem to be going well, so what are the trials really like? WFMY News 2's Alma McCarty met a Triad woman who is taking part in one right now.
Carol Caffarel of Summerfield tells me she wanted to be on the front lines in some way to fight this virus. Unsure at first of how that would happen, her doctor told her she qualified for a study.
My doctor said that I might be a good subject for a COVID study because I was in a high-risk group, meaning old. And I figured that it was okay if my doctor recommended it. So I was referred to the people who are running the clinical trial here in Greensboro.
The Pfizer clinical trial is a double-blind study, meaning neither the experimenters nor the participants know who's getting the vaccine and who's getting a placebo. Though she personally believes she received the vaccine because of some minor side effects, she's still masking up and socially distancing from others.
I am not assuming that I had the actual vaccine or that it actually has efficacy for me, but I am willing to be on the front lines to make sure that we do get the data collected and we do get as much information as possible so that we can have a great vaccine that works for this COVID strain.
Caffarel knows some people are skeptical about a COVID-19 vaccine, but she says it's encouraging to see the results. Pfizer said this week the vaccine is 95% effective and will seek the FDA's approval very soon. With a new grandson born during the pandemic, Caffarel felt even more driven to do her part.
I don't want to wait around and see if everybody is doing okay with the vaccine. And I just wanted to make sure that that little generation of kids, like our 7-month-old, is not going to have to even think about this. Maybe get a vaccine, but that's it.
In Guilford County, Alma McCarty, WFMY News 2.
Another vaccine trial is starting to show success. It's the one by Oxford University and AstraZeneca. They say this version is tolerated better in older people than young adults. It's similar to the Moderna and Pfizer vaccines, though. You do need 2 doses. Researchers say they're expecting more data on safety and efficacy in the coming weeks.
A Triad rally organizer faces new charges tonight. The Reverend Gregory Drumright, now charged with 2 felonies, assault on a law enforcement officer and obstruction of justice. The charges stem from a rally he organized in Alamance County late last month. It ended with arrests, people getting pepper sprayed, and 1 deputy getting hurt. Investigators say the chaos broke out because demonstrators broke rules they previously agreed to.
Body shops are used to fixing all kinds of dents and dings, but several places in Greensboro say they're seeing a lot of this. Just wait for it, right there. Bullet holes, gunshot damage. Staff at Midtown Body Repair told us they've averaged 6 to 8 bullet repairs over the last 2 months. Typically, they see about 2 a year.
The recount is underway in Guilford County. Some races are still too close to call. The Board of Elections spent the day hand counting the votes, making sure the initial result is the correct one. The closest statewide race is the Supreme Court Justice race. Triad native Paul Newby leads incumbent Sherry Beasley by just over 400 votes. The closest local race is District 4 in the Guilford County Commission. Democrat Mary Beth Murphy leads Republican incumbent Alan Branson by just 70 votes. One ballot measure was certified tonight. The Guilford County Commission certified the results of the $300 million Guilford County school bond referendum. It passed on Election Day. The money is for repairing and rebuilding schools. It's still unclear where the money will come from since the local sales tax increase failed.
Check it out. It's coming together nicely. Piedmont Winterfest starts tomorrow, and there are a few changes. First, a new location. It's off West Lewis Street in the parking lot near Fat Tuesday. Tonight, they were putting on the final touches. Decorations, lights, and making sure the ice is good to go. Because of the pandemic, masks are required this year, and there's limited capacity. Ultimately, organizers say they're just happy Winterfest will happen at all.
We're excited about getting underway. We're excited about having something that people can do, and we're excited that we've done it in a way that we feel is completely responsible.
And Tim, how nice of Mother Nature. She is helping with the freezing process tonight for that final layer of ice.
That's true. They have the chemicals. They can make it work without the cold air, but it's nice to have it too. And we have that right now. Temperatures, they're in the 30s already. It didn't waste any time tonight cooling down. And something that might be a little bit counterintuitive at least, take a look down here. In the south, we have some of the coldest temperatures at the moment, right there around the freezing mark, a little bit warmer to the north. A lot of times your early cooling spots, they just tend to be in more open fields or in low valleys where the cold air seeps down quicker. By the end of the night, we'll all pretty much be in the same boat, generally going down to the low 30s. Not much wind. It is a calm night of wind as well. And the dew point temperatures, they're the clue of how cold we'll eventually get, generally right around 30 degrees. So it's not quite as cold as last night, but it's chilly. You'll wake up to some frost across the area, right around 32 for most of us. Similar situation for the foothill counties. Want to tell you about your warm-up. There's a big one tomorrow. We go from the freezing mark in the morning all the way up to about 65 tomorrow afternoon. It is a very comfortable Friday with a high of 64. You can hold me to that. But coming up, stick around. We'll talk about this big warm-up and how much of that is coming our way as well.
Every family deserves to have a Thanksgiving dinner. A local elementary school and church joined forces today to make it happen.
South Graham Elementary and Trailhead Church organized a drive-through giveaway. WFMY News 2 photojournalist Brian Hall was there as they handed out the meals.
Today we have Trailhead Church volunteered to supply 50 Thanksgiving turkeys and tubs of sides for families that are in need. They've been such an asset to our school, so families are on the list to come pick those up and have that for the holiday. We have families that sometimes don't reach out if they're in need, but we learn, even during the pandemic, we bond with them over Zoom. We find out who's in need. We have teacher referrals, which helps a lot, and it helps us reach out to families that otherwise we aren't seeing right now. There are a lot of families that have lost jobs or are having to stay home because they're having to help their kids be online at school. This helps because it just alleviates so much of that financial burden of having a holiday dinner. So they are so excited to have that.
Y'all have a good Thanksgiving.
In all, they gave out 50 turkeys with all the trimmings.
Look at this Triad home. A storm ripped down a tree, sending it toppling onto a family's house. Now, this happened months ago, but the repair process was taking too long.
He was getting to the beyond frustrated point. You know, it's our lives.
How To Wants to Know helped solve the problem. Next.